Hello, everyone, and welcome to VMblog's coverage of the KubeCon CloudNativeCon 2024 event taking place in Salt Lake City, Utah. And today we're joined by Brock Mowry, the CTO at Tintri. Brock, welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
So we've had a number of great conversations with different folks from Tintri over the years, but could you start things off just giving VMblog viewers a quick overview of Tintri?
Yeah, so Tintri is a data management platform. We were initially focused entirely on the virtualization environment. However, we've expanded the product's capabilities out to serve SQL databases, and now we're stepping into the container arena. So really excited to be able to support Kubernetes workloads and really excited for the upcoming show at KubeCon.
So Brock, maybe you can tell us a little bit about how Tintri fits into the, KubeCon CloudNativeCon ecosystem.
Sure. Yeah, the VM store is a storage appliance at its core. However, we've added a bunch of features that really take it into a data management realm. We're really looking for those workloads that performance is key, visibility into the actual I/O operation, so latency, really low-level performance information. Those are the kind of workloads we want to target because we're able to provide very deep visibility into the application and the workload that's running over top of us. And we've had a lot of success within the virtual market and the database market, and we feel that this is just going to be complementary into the container space as well.
Yeah, that's a good jumping off point into thinking about a KubeCon attendee. What are some of the problems that they're facing where Tintri would be the answer to those problems? Like, what are some of the use cases look like?
Yeah, so right now our use cases are focused around data protection, disaster recovery, and some data management. And when I say data management, this can come into play when you're refactoring applications, as an example. If you have your data sitting in a virtualization suite that's on top of us, the data is sitting in our possession at that point, and we can do some really unique things, like be able to translate that data into a persistent volume as you're migrating or refactoring applications. So that's one area, but the key is really ease of use. The VM Store product within the virtualization space has really been powerful but simple as a product, and we want to keep those same traditions coming into the container space. So ease of use, one other aspect of that is we do provide a UI for the, maybe they're not the well-versed Kubernetes admin that got pushed into this. Maybe they're a virtualization admin. Well, they may not be as comfortable from the command line. They may not be able to easily discover the environment that a seasoned Kubernetes admin will. We've added some UI components. We actually go into the Kubernetes cluster and discover resources within it. So we can actually show that novice admin a unique perspective into that Kubernetes environment and how it relates back to storage, so he can have a relevant conversation with the Kubernetes team.
Now, could you kind of maybe do a little bit of a deeper dive into your company's technology offerings and what makes Tintri unique in the market?
Yeah, so we've got a portfolio of products. At our core is a physical storage appliance. However, we've gone out in multiple directions from there. So we do have virtual instances of our data management platform. I mentioned previously, we have a overarching control plane called Tintri Global Center that allows you to manage up to 64 of these instances. We're really focused around how data is managed and leveraged within computing environments. Now, specifically, we're talking about containers. But we have that deeper understanding of how that workload is actually running over top of us, because we're not just presenting storage out to that platform. We're actually connected into those platforms. We pull inventory information. We look at the performance of the hosts or of the nodes within the cluster, as an example. And we take that information to provide a holistic picture back to the end user so they have an understanding of their performance, of their capacity, of their data protection, all in one screen and one view from our product.
Now, thinking about your existing customer base, what are some of the biggest challenges that they're facing where Tintri comes in and helps them solve some of those problems?
Yeah, so the big one that we see is around performance. In traditional storage systems, you're usually presenting a LUN out to a infrastructure, and multiple consumers are hitting that LUN at the same time. It makes it very difficult to differentiate between who your noisy neighbor is, who your top consumer is, who's getting squished, all of those different metrics. Whereas the VM store, we take a very granular approach to how we manage workloads that are on top of us. As an example, we don't have that LUN where all of our data protection activity happens. We actually do it at the individual object. So within container world, that would be at your persistent volume. So if you want to take a snapshot of data, you're just taking that persistent volume. You're not taking a LUN that may contain multiple persistent volumes. So it tends to be a lot more efficient and a lot more focused on what the task is and making it simple to get it completed for the operator. Some other ones is going to be resource management, and again, we have a very good operating system, not just the OS, but the whole ecosystem to manage very expensive resource. Today we're managing NVMe disks. We're also looking at some really interesting offload type cards that are high performance storage that TXOS would be in a very good position to manage that very valuable resource, as an example.
Now, at KubeCon being the premier event around Kubernetes, a lot of vendors use this as a time to talk about new things that they're releasing, new product launches. Is there anything that Tintri will be releasing at this event?
Yeah, so we're super excited to announce our official support in Kubernetes environments via a CSI driver, as well as the data services for Kubernetes within our product. So we're very excited. We've been talking about this. We've attended the last two KubeCons, kind of getting our feet wet, understanding the environment, hearing some of the demands and needs from the customers. And now we're excited to be attending the show with something to present, not just gathering information, but now we can start giving back to the community, start creating features and products that really help people get their job done every day.
Now, as we're right around the corner heading into 2025, believe it or not.
It's crazy.
What are some of the trends or big themes that are coming up into 2025 that Tintri's thinking about? Obviously, AI is on everyone's top of mind, but what are some of the things that Tintri's thinking about for the new year?
Yeah, so in the other side of our world with the virtualization space, you guys are probably all familiar with a massive shakeup that just happened. A lot of that's starting to settle down. And because that's settled down, people are refocused on deploying workloads and getting back to work and not figuring out licensing and all this other fun stuff that's technically not business productive. So that focus is coming back to the applications and delivering applications. So obviously we want to be a part of that. And we're seeing some people that are now looking at containerized delivery of applications over virtual machines because of that shakeup. But we find ourselves in a unique space with the VM store, our product. We see us in a position that can really help people leverage for refactoring, migration, coexistence. So as people get pushed to look at other ways to deliver their products or their software, other than virtual machines, obviously containerization, Kubernetes is a very attractive direction. We want to be a part of that journey, having our product right in the middle. We can do some really unique things with data movement in and out of those architectures. So we're really excited at what the future brings and how our customers are going to start consuming the product.
Now, would it be possible for us to kind of get a look at the product and maybe see how it actually works?
Yeah, so for the call today, I have some screenshots. We're holding the big bang for the show. We're going to be doing all live demos at the show, so you'll be able to come and grab one of our booth members and walk through the product live. But if you give me just a second, I'll go ahead and queue up some slides here of some screenshots of some key areas of the product in the feature. I put up a couple of screenshots from the product, and this is focused entirely on the Kubernetes data services features. So in the top screenshot, you can see a view from our Tintri Global Center. So that is our management control plane. From there, you have a Kubernetes menu, and this will allow you to see all of the Kubernetes instances that are under management from the VM store. Now, below that, you'll see an individual VM store. So I mentioned before, Tintri Global Center can manage up to 64 individual VM stores. But you have that global view, but then also you have a local view. And you'll notice the local view doesn't have a menu drop down. It's tabs, but it's all the same information. It's just localized to that specific VM store. But from there, you can see quite a bit of information around, for example, you have up here persistent volume claims. But I want to jump into a little bit more detail. So here you can see on the left-hand side, management of multiple Kubernetes clusters. So you can see we've got a Tanzu cluster in there. We've got 3 other CSI connected clusters. And you'll notice that third one down at the bottom is actually a Tanzu connected through CSI. So I'm playing with different ways to connect into our storage. We announced Tanzu support a couple years back. But now, we want to go to market with the generic Kubernetes support so we can get into more installations and more environments. You'll notice down at the bottom, associated containers. So again, we are talking to the cluster API, so we're able to pull inventory information. And because we're looking at it at a global view, we can see all of the connected clusters. So in this example, there's some containers with from multiple clusters. Now you'll notice in some of these lines, there are some blue entries. Those blue entries are hyperlinks. They are drillable. And I'll give you an example under persistent volume claims. If we were to click on one of those persistent volumes, we'd actually get into this screen here. So this is a lab system. I don't have activity running on it at the moment. So unfortunately, I don't have IOP and throughput numbers. But again, when we're in the show, we're going to have a live production system, which will have a workload on it. But here you can see very easily throughput, IOPS, latency detail. You can also click on the metrics tab. I gave you a little screenshot over here. We have a plethora of metrics that you can look at. You can look at latency. You can look at IOPS. You can look at host information. There's a ton of detail under this metrics tab. For you to be able to get an idea of how the application is performing. And then another critical area is under snapshots. So you can take snapshots of the individual PV, you can replicate that snapshot, and you can take scheduled snapshots or manual snapshots. So as an example, in this screenshot, there's a manual snapshot taken on that system. So we want to give you plenty of flexibility to be able to observe the performance, as well as manage the data and data protection aspects of it. And then I got one other area that I wanted to show here. So you guys are familiar with the VMstore product in the past. That box down in the middle will be familiar to you as well. So one of the things that we've done, and I mentioned, this is helping the non-Kubernetes admin participate in a Kubernetes environment. You can see at the top a command line to see all the persistent volumes in a cluster. It's kubectl get PV, and I highlighted a PV there that I wanted to show how it's represented within our product. So down below you can see that same persistent volume. You can also see details, and when you hover over that latency box, that pop-up will come up, and that is going to tell you where it is experiencing latency throughout the path. We have the same technology within our virtualization support. We're bringing this into the container side support. So is the latency coming from the node or the host that's running the workload? Is it the network, or is it within the storage subsystem? In this example here, off to the right, you'll see a throttle implemented there. That's actually a QoS imposed throttle. So this is potentially could be a junior dev workload that, they don't want it to have any priority on the system. So you lower the QoS priority so that it won't ever affect production systems. You can do the inverse as well. You can put a QoS policy on there that will guarantee performance to it as well. So then one last slide I wanted to bring up is a product stack slide. I've been mentioning names and components like Tintri Global Center. I just wanted to put a page out there that kind of lays it all out so you have an understanding of how the product unfolds, if you will. So across the top, we have the different workloads that we support. So virtual machines, SQL databases, now containers. Off to the left-hand side, we have the control plane, which is Tintri Global Center. And then sort of in the center on the bottom, the data plane, we have the VM stores, which are the physical appliances. And then on the right-hand side are our virtual and cloud offerings. So Tintri Cloud Engine and Tintri Cloud Platform. One thing to note, the CSI feature is going to be released on the physical appliances first, and then they will trail on the virtual. Virtual ones, the OS and components all consist of the operating systems that come from the physical appliances. So we go through the physical cycle first, and then we release into virtual.
Well, thanks for giving us a closer look at your product. If people are going to be attending the show, where can they go to see you at the show? And also, where can they find more information about Tintri and some of the products you talked about today?
Yeah, so it'd be super exciting to see anybody at the KubeCon show. We're going to be in C6 in Hall C. So please come by, pick up some swag, learn a little bit more about the product. I should be around the booth, so come grab me. I'm happy to have a conversation to see what your guys' needs are. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Great. And for people that can't attend the event, where can they go to find out more information?
Yeah, so we always have latest up-to-date information on Tintri.com. All of our socials as well are all kept up to date. So, X, Twitter, whatever they're calling it these days, and Facebook, all of those platforms, we can be contacted there. Again, any of the reps in your territory, please reach out to them, see how we can help you guys solve your problems.
Great. Well, thanks for taking the time to speak with VMblog, and we look forward to seeing you at the show.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the time, guys.